I can't believe it. We've been blessed by you. Blessed. Seriously.
We will see.
Mr. Erik van der Zanden on the Elite Thinking Club. Guys, you're in for a show tonight. We're in for a treat tonight. My man is a peaceful revolution strategist, okay? Peaceful revolution strategist. He's gone through the school of hard knocks to get where he's at. You wouldn't believe. We're going to talk about his story. We're going to talk about himself. Liz Michael, welcome. Erik, welcome.
Hello. Hello.
And everyone everywhere, let's get into this. So, Erik, welcome to the Elite Thinking Club, my friend. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. Like, we're honoured, aren't we? Liz Michael, we are honoured.
Yes, absolutely.
We have never had a guest on the show that has done what you've done and been where you've been. And not only that, got a mission so strong that it don't just, help the people that you've been working with in Uganda. I mean, this can be deployed. Your strategy, your blueprint of how to win a peaceful revolution should be applied by all. It can be applied by all, and I feel like you're, don't get me wrong. These guys know, and we've spoke about this in the past. We've been banned on Place Before because you are what would be seen as a threat. Do you get what I mean? I mean, how does that? I've talked way too much. First, welcome, my friend. Do you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Shall we start from the start?
Perfect.
Okay, let's start from the start. Erik, obviously, you're from Holland. You're born in, you're from Holland?
Yeah.
And you got this cry. You heard the cry, and you took yourself to Uganda. Why Uganda?
So I often get this question, why Uganda? Why did you start fighting for the people? And
yes.
I guess, already from being young, I had this urge. I love these these stories about knights, about the romantic ideals, fighting the bad guys, protecting the poor, and then especially standing up against bullies while in school.
Yeah.
So this led me, but I was also this extreme history nerd, always immersed in military history. And also, I think at the deepest level, I was an artist. I wanted to become a painter. So I had these three journeys I could follow: becoming a painter, an artist, joining the military and fighting bad guys, or becoming a military historian. I tried all three, but it started with the moment that I was destined to become a military historian. I studied history, and then at the end of the year, I read a book. It was an Israeli historian, Martin van Creveld. And at the end of the book, he wrote down, "It is not my intention to change the world, it's only my intention to understand it." And suddenly there was this deep voice inside me that almost shouted that this was not enough for me. I also wanted to understand, but I wanted to understand to help change it. So from that moment, I knew I had to get into the world and make a contribution. And because I was so inspired by peace and war, what was the best place to go to? It was the army. I thought then within the army, I can go peacekeeping missions or something else with peace. But that was the institution I thought they were going to be my formation place. So I trained all year.
Because, there are so many segments to what makes you whole, right? One of them being the army side of things, the military side of things, the strategy side of things, the tactics side of things. I've read your website. I obviously got well engrossed in it. I've read everything on it. And that element of it obviously attracts me because I'm ex-military myself, me and Michael, both in the same battalion. So I was really interested to see all of the way that you go about organization, the way you go about implementing plans, the way you have put that together. And then I also know another segment of you, which is obviously really close to Liz's heart. You're an activist, you're on the street. You've got your feet on the street. You're waving the banners. You're trying to wake the people up, which is going to bring me into what we're going to talk about later, as some of your stages and phases of certain ways to go about it. Because Liz is there. Liz, aren't you? You're on the street. You're walking, marching for your cause.
It's got to be done, and it's definitely got to be done now in order for the next generation and for humanity. So
exactly. There's probably people watching right now, okay, who are fighting for something. And I believe a lot of it stems from the higher ups, the ruling elites, or this higher power that people are clearly opening their eyes to now. It is so impossible not to see. And then that brings me back to what it was about Uganda. So reading from your website, which, guys, the link will be in the description on this episode. Sankara, is it Sankara.nl? Sankara Revolutions NL, which also has his book on there too, digital copy. So you can just click it and read it. Quality. And the history of Uganda, it reminds me a lot of the George Orwell story, Animal Farm. How the animals, they free themselves from their previous oppressor, but only to establish something of their own, but turns into a dictatorship eventually. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, does that resonate? Do you understand what I mean when I say that, Erik?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, actually, I just finalized my book. It's called The Unfinished Revolution, where I try to answer why is Africa underdeveloped and how can it be solved? Because when I first went to Uganda, so to finalize that story, I was joining the military. I had devoted my life to doing something, and I was very inspired by Spartan society, especially the romanticized. You have two sides of Spartan, the earlier phase, which is more noble, more archaic Sparta, and the final phase, which is more the inspiration for the Hitlers and the far right and the discrimination. But that earlier phase, it has a lot of inspirational aspects and a warrior culture. So by joining the military, I devoted my life to peace for the rest of my life. I put a tattoo. Maybe I can show it later, but it said Spartan law. And that Spartan law, to me, it said that what is Spartan law? It is no retreat and no surrender, but especially it is the devotion of an individual to fight for the bigger good, for the collective, the sacrifice of one small group or one individual to fight for all. So all my life and even my body was devoted to fighting for peace. I had trained a whole year long. I was fit and strong. And then my first test at the military, psychological test, I was rejected immediately because I was too idealistic. I was too naive. I wanted to make this world a better place, but in a way that didn't really fit with the military. So that was
And I know how you feel. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.
a crush from the dream, but that led me to Uganda. Because after several days, I had that same voice I will talk about later that I just experienced a week ago. I was defeated, that my dream was not going the way I planned, but suddenly a voice asked me, is this who you want to be? And that deep inner voice, I believe it was my soul, that has a plan for where I was going. It triggered me as something very special happened. And I knew, okay, just like in I don't know if you know the movie 300, where you have this aspect of the Spartans. One element of the Spartans is the agoge, their Spartan upbringing. So when there were young kids, they were sent into the wild, and they even returned as a Spartan or not at all. So this was my mission. If I was not able to test myself in the military, I was going to test myself in the jungles of Uganda. And I had been a Boy Scout for 14 years, so I knew how to survive. But that brought me to Uganda. I went there to test if I was a Spartan. And of course, I didn't tell my parents my plans. But when I was there, I went all out. I went total crazy.
I mean, you threw yourself into a belly of a beast, like quite literally. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to sound ignorant, but when you go to Uganda, especially you being white from Holland, you're not exactly hard to notice, are you? I mean, and then if you start speaking the way you're doing, your mission, you're not you're not exactly going to blend. You're not exactly going to, you're literally waving a big banner saying, oh, by the way, I'm here. I'm going to change shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to change everything. And they're like, who is that? Do you know what I mean? Who is that? So did you find a lot of that? Did you find that because you're so obvious. Like, and plus your peaceful message, this is what inspires most people, right? Your non-violent, peaceful strategies. How, in a place like that, when it is money and guns, you got money and guns, that's the war. You're going to fund it. You got the power. People will, you know what I'm saying? Pablo Escobar, I don't need to fight. I'll just pay the police. But if you don't, sorry, Liz, go on.
The most impactful protest is the peaceful protest.
Absolutely.
It's non-reaction. Then you have to do it peacefully, and we're well within our rights to do that for the rest of our lives. To peacefully protest, as long as we stay peaceful, we will win.
And I love that, Liz, because the next question is how?
Right.
How do you go about that? Especially when you're up against someone who's got guns to your head, don't care if you live or die. How? What's the first step? And obviously I'm asking Erik only because I've read his website and I'm reading his book and I know he knows that it's, I'm trying to approach this like a curious child. How do you go about that? What's the first step?
Amazing question. And I would just switch between my deepest insights of revolution, what I discovered and how to organize these things, and my personal stories of how I achieved those insights. But one of my biggest insights at the moment in revolution is what is the functioning of power? Because actually the basics, the fundamentals of revolution is all about power. And especially how power is an illusion in how we currently believe that power is. So many people believe that power is the ability to compel somebody else against their own will to do something they are not willing to do. Of course, especially through fear, through using violence. But this is actually not power. This is domination or dominion or fear through violence. So what is power? And this comes from, I went into the rabbit hole because he's called Reverend James Lawson. He was the strategist of the civil rights movement in the United States. And he brought me again closely to Gandhi. I found that Gandhi and Jesus, they remain the two most sophisticated minds about nonviolence I've found so far in my research. So they gave me the hints and I started thinking about it, and I realized that actually power is best described as life force or life power. And everybody that is born, because we're also all going to die, we have the same amount of power. In that sense, we're all equal, and that life power makes us as equally powerful. However, within that, so that's power you can compare to electricity. There's only one sort of electricity, but there are different ways how you can use that electricity. And when a person, for example, starts to gain power within, we call this when people have an internal feeling of empowerment, and they start to feel they're more important, they're above others, or they want to rise above others. For example, by gaining a position in Western democracies by charisma. We see it more with African leaders or tradition, kings and queens. When they combine that power within with those positions, it seems that they're actually more powerful than us. While in reality, it's an illusion. They remain as powerful because we all have this life power. But what happens when we think somebody is more powerful? So power resides with those that people believe they are powerful. What happens is that when we believe that you are the most powerful in this group, and therefore the three of us, we give a part of our power to you.
Yeah.
It means that our power shrinks and your power is expanded. Therefore, we create inequality with that power, while the natural state of power is always equal. So yes. Therefore, that's also the core belief within revolutions. Of course, what do dictatorships do? They want the people to be depleted of their power. So
it's almost like saying they're only powerful if you think they're powerful. That is it. There's no such thing, because how you've just beautifully explained it, and I've never heard it like that before. The equality of power is life force, and we all have that. That's our birthright. Go on, Liz.
That's where the saying "power to the people" comes from. It's people power. We collectively have the power. We are far more powerful than any leaders and any of the corrupt people that are doing what they're doing and running these different countries all over the world. We are far more powerful. There are more of us than there are of them.
Absolutely. And this is
Sorry, yeah, go on, Erik. Keep going.
this is why revolutions are the most powerful force on earth. So also Gandhi, he called it also I think it was the human emotion. Human emotion might be the most powerful force in the universe, because it's human emotion that can suddenly awaken people about this reality, this truth. So this truth is extremely powerful. Of course, dictatorships never want you, or the elites, they never want you to know this truth. And therefore they use violence and fear to make you believe you're actually not powerful. But that's so inspirational about revolutions, because it's only an illusion, it's a deception. It can change instantly. We can, within 1 hour, we can, in theory, awaken the whole world and liberate ourselves, because it's always, the power only resides with who we believe it resides with. So if we change that belief, if we change that social construct, suddenly we are liberating ourselves with other results. So that's the most powerful part of revolution.
Now, I am all up for a revolution. Obviously, I've never been part of one yet. Hence why I'm really honored to have you on the show, because you are the strategist, which I believe every revolution needs. You got it. You nailed it. How do you convince someone they are powerful when they are deep-seated conviction that they are not? Like, they are so dependent on the system that they feel powerless. How do we go about that?
Excellent question again. So when I started being a revolutionary, I think I've been especially active since 2014. In the first years, while learning about revolution, being one, experiencing one, it was more about fighting the injustice, fighting the oppressors, fighting the violence. So it was all about fighting. Then about 2 years ago, I started to become deeper in, dive deeper in what is needed for revolution. And actually, it's way more powerful that you have an alternative. When there's no alternative, there's no alternative vision you're heading to. You're only fighting and therefore reinforcing the status quo instead of replacing it with the alternative vision. So that vision is very powerful. And that I started to see that actually more powerful than fighting is building that alternative. So you don't focus all your attention in fighting the current situation, you build that alternative situation. But now, since about 6 months, I go even deeper, and I realize at the very beginning, is the phase of healing. And then we go to that power, because people have experienced trauma by terror. So they have experienced terror by the state or by extreme violence. They are traumatized. They are deeply hurt. They have the scars of psychological wounds. They are intimidated by the structure of fear. So they are constantly forced to believe that they're powerless. And therefore, they're so deeply hurt that we first need to heal their belief. And we can do it. I had a very powerful workshop 2 weeks ago. It was a student from Iran, which was deeply hurt, traumatized by the terror, hopeless. She had given up hope for the struggle in Iran. And just by one session where I shared the insights, where we spoke we had a social environment with all students, where just when somebody's very hopeful, it's contagious, I believe. It's so contagious that it can heal people that are hopeless, and it can fill them up again. So at the moment, those that were hopeless, there was a lot of resistance against me believing that it's always possible. They didn't believe it because they had experienced the terror and the fear firsthand. So they lost that hope. But the day after I got a message that she started to feel hopeful again, that she was going to believe again in the victory of the revolution. So that was very powerful, because it means that just within one workshop, people can be healed from this psychological trauma. And hope, I believe, is the antidote to feeling powerless. So
I'm sorry. I'm so glad you said that, because I get asked a lot by people that say to me, why do I believe so strongly that we will prevail? Why do I always say that we will win? And I always try to explain to people that we have to have hope. We must never lose hope, because without hope, I may as well be dead. So I have to believe, and I have to have, and I will not give up the hope that we will prevail. So you saying that has just made my day, because that is my heart. That is what I believe, that we all have to have hope. And when people who I know who have been traumatized by a lot of the events that have happened in the past 3 years, they're wilted down, they're fed up, they're so drained by a lot of the psychological operations that have been done on society. And they say to me, what are we really going to win? Are we really, are we really going to get through this? Is it really going to get better? And I'm always saying 100%, yes, we have to believe, and we have to hope. So hope is the antidote.
Absolutely.
I love
the
that.
Cure, I think hope indeed. Hope is the beginning and the end. It's the most powerful.
It is.
Eric, I need to let you know, we've got so many people on the TikTok right now agreeing to so much that you're saying, talking about healing, talking about hope, talking about, just want to let you know, mate, there's a lot of people following you right now that they're going to be, you are emitting more than I feel like you know. Do you know what I mean? You may be in your world doing what you're doing, but you are, in the spiritual sense, the wave for you're emitting this is you're part of it. I believe that you're spiritual. I believe that you are a chosen one. I do. There is no way an individual has been through what you've been through and still hears the spirit, still hears the call, still hears the cry, and steps up to the plate. Many do not. Many hear the cry, but you're right. They've got these psychological barriers. They've got this fear element inside them. They believe they can't do it. And you are strong enough to say, no. I can heal these people. I can put them together. I'm going to help them. Now, I want to say, how you had these workshops, right? You've got yourself a foot soldier right here. That's what I am. That's what me and Michael know. We've been soldiers. We're infantrymen. That's what we know. So we know you tell us to fight, we're going to fight, because that's how I'm wired. But the physical fight, which I know it sounds really bad and I don't want it to, but I'd love nothing more than a little bit of a scrap with a riot with a guy. Come on, let's go. Like, I'm fed up. I'm so fed up. I'm angry. I'm fuming. I'm heated. And I want to take out my aggression. I want to take them out at the top. I want to march to the doors and I want to kick the doors down and say, you're out. Done. People of the UK, let's rise up. Let's go. Do you know what I'm saying? But we also know that don't work. We know that. I'll fight and kick and scream for a day. Cause havoc in the street. Burn, you know what I mean? Just go nuts. Screaming and loving my moment of, being that rebel. Do you know what I'm saying? But it isn't going to get us nowhere. So I have to calm that inner flame, channel it elsewhere, channel it towards what I know you're nailing, you're getting, you're part of. So can you talk more about this peaceful approach to revel? Because I know, Liz, you're peaceful, very, very peaceful. And, it's cool. It's yin and yang. But obviously, Eric, how is it not good to be like fighting fire with fire? How is it better to be the peaceful approach and what is required of people to achieve the goal? Do you know what I mean?
Amazing that you're this. Okay, so we're talking about anger in the Rwanda Revolution, the role of anger, but also I love what you were saying about yin and yang. And maybe I will already use the opportunity to get a bit more spiritual, as indeed, I think this is the core of that faith-based being unstoppable. But yin yang, the first years of revolution were about fire, about explosion, about this inner flame, the fires of resistance. And now I'm starting more and more to see my way as the way of water. So the fire is the traditional way of revolution, and I'm starting to see a new vision of revolution, where water is the main power, where it balanced with that fire. And Martin Luther King, he already said that fire is that righteous anger is like a crucial fire needed for any revolution. It's the most powerful spark anybody needs. But then what he said is that there's a difference, and I see this, let me go deeper after this, but he said that afterwards we have to discipline our anger. Because if we don't discipline our anger, it will become toxic, it will destroy, it will be like a wildfire, like just like fire, it can be give us heat, but when it goes out of control, it's destructive. It's the same with anger. When it goes out of control, it will be destructive. If we discipline it, it will be funneled into very constructive fighting, but also building and healing aspects. So that anger is the spark. It's the most one of the most difficult things we're trying to organize in Uganda is that spark. But every time we see the spark, it's super exciting. As we know, this can be the start of a revolution, but we often see that it needs to be disciplined. So how does it work? I found that, so at the core, I believe of that faith, of that hope is our soul. So I believe every human, we have an entity of three aspects. We have the soul, we have the body, the vessel, and we have the mind, which is, so the soul is the captain. They come in our body with a mission. They have a destination. They direct us in our life where we want to go. We have the mind, which is the crew. Sometimes they don't want to obey the captain. They want to do their own thing. But then, of course, the captain is always there to direct them back to the mission. Sometimes they take over control of the vessel. Then there's the vessel, the ship. If it's a very damaged vessel, we will not be able to have a very epic journey. But when we optimize that vessel as well, when we bring in balance the powerful, hopeful captain, the powerful vessel, the powerful ship, and then an obedient and a very trained mind, I believe we become very unstoppable. And that soul, I also believe it works like a frequency, like a sound. And the sound, of course, is very easy to direct, to change, like a vibration. It can, just by one sound, it can influence it. So it's the same with anger. There's a polarity. At the central part, it's a neutral aspect of anger. Then you have the positive anger and the negative anger. In the negative anger, you always feel it. There is something wrong. This is not on the streets. There is negative anger. People feel afraid. They feel threatened. They feel something is dangerous. When there's positive anger, people feel empowered. They feel hopeful. They feel included. They feel they are able to change the system together. So you can already feel directly, because of this frequency, I believe, of the soul, you can feel is positive anger or negative anger. And then also about negative anger, I compare it to a toxin. It's toxic. When it's inside you for a moment, it can be powerful. But when it stays, it will likely make you sick. It will corrupt your soul, or it will do damage, because it's this destructive aspect of toxic. I see in Uganda, it has been internalized so deeply for many, many years. It also needs very deep healing before it can be taken away. But I believe the core issue here is that we can, as soon as possible, discipline that anger and turn it into that positive anger, and therefore make use of it in a constructive way.
My friend, you are so powerful. I don't even think you know. I seriously do not. You got the comments going crazy on the TikTok. You got so many people listening to you. You are the leader. I wouldn't know how it feels to be you, but I can only imagine how, what's going to keep you going, Erik? What's going to keep you going? We can't lose you, is what I'm saying. We can't. I'm not going to let it happen, because I believe you've got a bigger part to play. Everything you've done, I get it, bro. You know your story. You do. You've been through all that. But I believe that was just to test you, to see if you're ready to step to what you need to do. Do you get what I mean? Because I know you said before, I asked you, I said, look, you can't shout too loud. You can't be making too much noise. You remember what happened to all those in the past? You know that what happens to them. And then you said, yeah, I know. And you are ready. So therefore, my friend, do you get what I mean? What do you need from us to keep you going? Do you get what I mean? If you're going to go the distance, you're going to be that.
Yeah, so I think that the beginning, it was my internal mentality, the Spartan law, the no retreat, no surrender, warrior mentality. Then afterwards, throughout my experiences in Africa, it became light of the darkness. The light of the darkness in that, I don't know, there's just this innate feeling that light always conquers darkness. But especially last years, I think I've come to the conclusion of what I believe in. Amor vinci omnia. It means love conquers all. And I believe like this love conquering all and this resonance you feel with other people that just know this deeply already, and suddenly they hear the truth, but they knew the truth all along. I think those are the most powerful moments, because that's why I'm so interested in diving deep into the truth. Because as I think Socrates already said it, that you cannot teach anybody anything. They already know the truth. They have internalized and brought this truth with them all their lives, and therefore it resonates, because suddenly people speak the unspoken, or they give a voice to the voiceless. Suddenly they give power to a certain belief or to a certain word, but it's nothing. It's only that he's voicing it, and therefore it becomes powerful. So that resonance, that makes it extremely powerful to do this, to find the truth and then find out if it's truly the truth, it resonates. If it's not the truth, it doesn't resonate.
I feel you. I get it. Now, from the past, we've seen people step up, become that representative, but then they fall. And the reason they fall is because what I was reading, like I said, I read all your website, and one of the things you mentioned was instead of changing the system, they fall into the trap of joining it. How are we going to change something? How can we prevent that? Let's say that you become an elected leader. Let's say that, right, Erik's our guy. He's going for it. He's going to take them out. He's going to take them out from the top. Every man's got his price. How do you secure your solidness in your mission? How do you keep yourself grounded? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So first of all, I think my wife, she will be able to keep me humble, or at least genuine, and knowing when I become too optimistic or too, I don't know, so much. We are fighting in the struggle, being very immersed in fighting these dictators, dreaming about the new futures. Sometimes you can become a bit too dreamlike, too, I don't know, immersed within the struggle and what you're doing in the struggle. Then sometimes it's very helpful to be at home and just have to do the dishes, or I don't know, to clean the house, to know your place again. So I think that's keeping me very humble. And then just, I guess, train humility all the time. It's very powerful to just, the way of dirt. I had a very interesting course on shalom. Shalom is the Hebrew word for full peace, or harmony and peace. It's deeper than the lack of violence. It's truly a real sense of peace that you have established a new situation. We were talking about the way of dirt, and the way of dirt is that you realize that actually you are just like everything else on the planet, any animal, any person. You return to the dirt when you die, and you came from the dirt. And it's actually those that believe that they're more than dirt that are trapped by them, the main, I believe, the opposite of love, which is greed. So I believe there are two sides. One is love, and that's always worth fighting for. And then we have greed. And of course, love also has many layers. There are seven forms of love. But I think greed is at the core of the dark side. And greed is exploitation for personal gain. And love, I think, is unlimited sacrifice. Because when you truly love, you're willing to sacrifice anything, even your life, for that other person or other group. And I think the more you live, you're more to train to be willing to sacrifice yourself completely without doubt. You train to be fully loving, and therefore able to, I think as long as you keep training it, that will help you to remain humble and stay the course on the good side. Of course, to say to myself again all the time, light up the darkness. There was a prophecy when I was a child. I think it was about 8 years old. I was raised in the church. And then the priest said that he prophesied that I was going to be a friend of many. So this has been a very powerful belief for myself, that always I remind myself to be a friend of the many, because it means that you focus not on the few, but on being a part of everybody that's included in the dirt. So I think those things, they help to stay the course.
Yeah, man.
Powerful.
You speak like a true leader, man. It comes from they say the saying is, you speak your heart. Where your heart is what comes out your mouth. Do you know what I mean? And mate, I like it. I love it. Yeah. Thank you. You know, I like what you wrote about something called an ekioto, the old school way of doing things. That Uganda, the Africans, they will make a campfire, organize around the campfire. I just want to say, my friend, I would like one day if we could have an ekioto. Me, you, Liz, Michael, all of you, and everybody would just have one massive campfire.
That'd be amazing.
You know what I mean? You said about dreaming and then reality, and I have such a dream. I feel like we all dream of this thing that we want. What is this thing that we want? Do you get what I mean? Like, we all collectively have this inner feeling. What is it? Why?
To live in peace and harmony and be completely free from the system, free from the corruption, free from the chains that the 1% have created for us all. We're not supposed to live the way we live. I've said this for a long time, Jules, haven't I? We're just not. And we have so much power in us as like humanity. There's so many of us, so many people like Erik out there all over the world that are saying what he's saying and wanting what he's wanting. And I just wish we could all get together on one massive island and like recreate the world.
Absolutely. And
That would be amazing.
I think indeed also, why are we so powerful? So who are we actually at the deepest levels? I was talking about the soul. So what is the soul then again? Of course, we have these stories about hell and heaven. I don't really believe in either, but I found a very interesting idea or philosophy about where our soul resides. And they were saying that each of our souls, they are residing in a star somewhere in the galaxy. So we are part of where this soul within university. What were you saying?
Sorry, is each star a soul, or our souls come from a star?
Yeah, so each of our souls has one star. So all the stars in the universe, one of them as one of our souls. And this, since this idea, I started to think, why is this so powerful? Why do we resonate so clearly with these campfires? Why do we feel so connected to the aspect of fire? Maybe our soul is fire in a physical, in a human experience. And finally, I then realized several weeks ago, what can tell this about God? If our soul comes from a star, and for example, proximity is power. So the closest star, they are, of course, then maybe more powerful. Then what might this be saying about the closest star in our solar system? So who is then our Father who art in heaven? Is the sun, as in most ancient, the earliest religions, they believe the sun was actually God. Are they correct? Is indeed that closest star, is that? And then is the sun, is it a living entity? Is that also originating from a soul, like our own lives, that originate in a soul, and we're just having this human experience on this earth to develop, and I don't know, develop into a similar being as that sun as well. I don't know, but I believe there's something very interesting in at least our connection to fire. There's also the saying that our eyes are the gates to the soul, which I believe to be totally true. But this shared identity with fire and our soul, I believe, it has to link or hint to some deeper truths. I don't know yet. These are more exploration ops, but I find them interesting.
Great. That's a religion I might get into.
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I can agree with you a lot on what you say. A lot. I'm sitting here nodding away. And some of the things you said was like, I'd never heard before, but it immediately made sense. When you said...
What Liz was saying, so this innate knowing that we're powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're destined to be free. We're destined to be powerful. We're destined to be
who we are meant to be.
Indeed. So what about these stars in the universe? They are exactly what maybe we're feeling we are destined to be, but somehow, and this is also an exploration. So I don't know yet. I don't know if this is the truth, but I found it very resonating. As there is this idea of the DNA with chimpanzees. I think it was 98% we share with chimpanzees. So that explains potentially our ape-like behavior. And then I was watching this Chimp Empire documentary. 3 things stood out. One, that the chimpanzees, they were inherently tribal. So they couldn't help themselves. If they met another tribe, they had to fight it and likely kill it. There was this innate, violent division, which of course we see back in humankind with many wars or conflicts. The second part is they had this patriarchy. There always had to be a male dominating. He could be democratic, he could be a dictator, but always the male had to be the leader of the group. Again, what do we see in the past 500 or maybe more thousands of years of human history? And finally, they ate the smaller apes. So when there was a small monkey, they also used it. They believed that the strongest dominated and therefore had the right to eat the less powerful monkeys. And I see all the aspects of the dark side of humanity. I saw them with the chimp, or I saw the difference in what made us different. But that 1-2% difference between chimpanzees and us, I believe that's the answer to who we truly are.
Yeah. Yes, because mate, we have evolved to be smart. We've sacrificed brute strength for cognitive strength, right? Cognitive function is facts. Now, we've evolved from that for the better. That's the only reason why a species evolves. It doesn't evolve because it's to become weaker. It evolves to become stronger. And I seriously believe what you've just said there. We're on the brink of bringing the new through. You are the forefront, if you will, of that new, because a lot of the old systems that are set up have been set up by older versions of ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that, it doesn't need to be thousands of years of evolution. This shit could happen in the space of a couple hundred because it's such the need of our survival is there. So if you have a system that was set up a couple hundred years ago, a few hundred years ago, 400 years ago, that was by a more primitive version of ourselves. It's time to change that because we're no longer that. Do you get what I mean? That's why I feel like the battle's there. That's why I feel like the fight's there, because there's people still living on that old system. They've set themselves up with it. They're thriving on it because it's such an old way of doing it. But the new versions of us, the new evolved versions of us, see the bigger picture. We know there can be another way. We know that. We're no longer doing the eating the younger chimps or whatever. In actual fact, we're trying to raise these younger chimps. We understand the power of the community. We understand that. Yeah, I do get to a degree the male, female, the patriarchy, of course, like men do, women will, whatever, the dynamic, that's a natural dynamic. And the other thing, the primitive need to fight, I believe we're overcoming that too, because people are seeing beyond the differences. We're acknowledging the differences. I think it's great to acknowledge differences, like that's what makes it interesting. But it shouldn't be a barrier. It shouldn't be a need to feel threatened by it or we have to fight it out. I feel like we're just evolving away from that, if you will, primitive way. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's also the saying, the unity in diversity, which I really love, and that you actually find that we're united because we're all different. Therefore, we're all one, but also we're all so different that it doesn't make. Actually, we should celebrate that diversity, that being different. And I think also crucial to know. So, how are we oppressed? By studying these dictatorships deeply. So now we have talked about who are we, why are we so powerful, what do we need, why is this life force ensuring that we actually are all equal. But then with the dictatorships, the elites, I see two parts. The one of the part we have more mental oppression. It seems we're physically free, but in our minds we are as oppressed as the rest of the world. And we see the places where there's way more physical oppression as well on the streets, the dictatorships, the China, Russia. We see it in many African countries. But I believe the system remains in place. I call it the system of control myself. And you see that there are three aspects. They want the people to remain deceived, to remain divided, and to remain dependent. And by making the people as dependent, as divided, and as deceived as possible, they ensure that the people don't realize their own power, they don't work together to ensure it, and they feel too dependent on a system to even start fighting it because they are afraid they're just not able to resist without that self-reliance. So by deeply studying deception, division, and dependency, we start to find solutions on how to liberate ourselves. Both in the dictatorships I'm fighting with in Eswatini in Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, but we also see it in the democracies. So I believe, why is this the case? When you study empires throughout history, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, there's always the core place where power resides. So I guess now it will be Washington or somewhere in the United States. So imagine that's now currently Rome. And the United States, they are the Roman Empire. Then the European or the other aspects behind them, they're part of that empire. And maybe they believe they live in freedom, but it's an empire that is situated against several other empires, where the Russian Empire or the Chinese Empire. There are many other places, but if we start to see we live the way we live, because we are as a similar auxiliary, because we are part of that American Empire, suddenly it starts to make sense of what's happening in the world.
I'm a big believer in freedom. I have a core value, which is freedom, in all the sense of the word. I need to self-empower. I want to do things on my own. I'm done being dependent on that shit, because that shit ties me in. It's like a contract. It's like, okay, you want this? Cool. You have to abide by us. And that obedience, that submission, it takes away my freedom. I've got a lot of admiration for people who haven't been signed up to the system. Turned around and said, nah, this ain't for us. Like gypsies, travelers, so much respect. Amish, like, I wish I weren't so conditioned to fear change. I'm not, by the way. I've worked very hard to become who I am. Like, I believe in frequency. I believe in when you make it a certain stage, certain things come into your life. They come into your peripheral, but you have to earn it. The soul knows it's got a connection beyond your physical, your fight, your soul's growth, which you describe with the eyes. You can see in someone's eyes how far their soul has come. You can hear in their voice where their heart is. And when you are around certain people, you can see what stage you're at. You've come into our life, Erik, because we were ready to receive you. We've come into yours because you're ready to speak your truth bigger. Do you get what I'm saying?
We've had a comment on YouTube. It's a little bit ago. Ali Bird said, I've noticed he mentions earth, fire, and water. I wonder if he's going to mention air as well. So is that part of what you was talking about before?
Yeah, so I started thinking, okay, when we're the way of the fire and we're the way of the water, how does it work with also the other spiritual things we're thinking about? So For example, Earth, I think it's what we're seeing outside. And then especially the color of green, Mother Earth, the planets, this Garden of Eden we're living in. So I think it represents life. Then we have air, and air together with that, air together with fire, maybe that represents the universe. So those two parts contrasting with water and earth being the world. Yin yang in a sense in how both of them combine the human body. But for the revolutionary part, I'm still exploring earth and air. What is the role of that in the bigger picture? But I feel there's this natural alliance between fire and air, and water and earth.
Yeah. I want to deep it. Like, you've obviously got the strategy down, and I'm going to keep telling people, oh, you want a revolution, are you? Cool, go to Erik. If you want to win this revolution, go to Erik. You know what I mean? You might think you know how to go about this, but do you know? If you want to be successful, sometimes you got to take humble pie and think and realize you know nothing at all. There is an expert out there or someone out there who has been and done what you haven't yet, seen the outcome of what you're currently doing, and can guide you the right way. So again, guys, if you are part of a group or doing something at the moment and you really, really need to, get to that next stage, I seriously urge you to take a look at Erik's work. Look into the Sankara revolutions. It's his book, it's his blueprint. It will teach you how to go about it. And remember, it's peaceful. The non-violent approach is 10 times more successful than the violent approach. You can't be kicking and screaming. You know what I mean? It won't work. And then also look into a lot of his other blogs where he's educating you about how people in the past, and you do mention a lot of people, by the way, Erik. You've read a lot of books, my friend. He talks about people in the past, and their pitfalls, and how it's not rigged. I don't like that word, but how if you find yourself in a scenario or a situation where you're focusing on, I can do it this way. For example, I'll become an MP. I'll represent my people. What you are doing, unfortunately, is finding yourself in the trap. You've joined the thing. It isn't the fact that you don't want to be a representative. That's not true. But the electoral system, the actual system, is the problem. You understand? You can't join the system to try and change that. It ain't going to happen because you've joined it. You're contributing to it. You're now part of it. What Erik is talking about is teaching people the peaceful revolution and creating new systems, new ways. That's what we're about. And I need to highlight that real big time, man, because I could listen to you talk all day, Erik, to be honest. I'm serious. I want that.
Going by that,
yeah.
Talking all day. I mean, I know I haven't said a lot, but 53 minutes into it, I haven't vaped once because I'm.
Oh yeah.
I've been listening so
intensely.
I haven't even grabbed my vape. 55 minutes and I haven't grabbed it.
I've been
no one has done it ever before.
Oh, Erik, I talk to these guys all the time. Michael's chuffing away. Liz going, I mean, I've got to start changing the way I speak.
You've just honestly, like, what I believed before, you have just completely heightened even more so. So, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop doing what I do. I'm not going to stop believing what I believe. And I'm constantly telling people every damn day, we have the power. We are the power. They have the power within them. And we've just got to make people realize that we are collectively the power.
Absolutely amazing. And then I do need to share, because we want to gain more victory in this revolution. So I do have to share 3 powerful insights again. So in the past 20 years, the revolutions, they had this belief that revolutions are won through the numbers. There was this academic debate, 3.5% rule. If you mobilize 3.5% of the population, you can gain a victory. I believe it's set up towards a trajectory where we have seen massive mobilizations, massive people on the streets without gaining victory. And I was thinking, how can this be the case? And I believe because there's an even more powerful aspect of how to win these revolutions. And that's actually the conversion of the armed forces, the defection of the armed forces. So why do dictatorships survive, even against many millions on the streets? It's because those that hold the arms, those that wield the violence, the soldiers and the police officers, when they do not side with the people, but they stick to the dictatorship, that's how they can keep doing this violence. So what do we have to do in the start from every strategy, in every revolution? We have to think, how can we convert the armed forces to our side? For example, how can we mobilize their own mothers? How can we mobilize veterans? How can we mobilize the exact persons they respect most? So I'm now also doing a master at the military academy in the Netherlands. One, to learn more strategy, but secondly, to study inside out the hearts and minds of the soldiers, of the officers, to know how they think and what they find important. Not only to not to fight them, but when I go to Uganda, to deeply know the mentality of police officers and soldiers, and therefore are more effective to change their minds to side with the people. Because the moment the armed troops in any country, they side with the people, they decide to not shoot or use their violence, that's the moment dictatorships are defeated. So that's the one, and I think the most powerful insight. The second part is focus more on building the alternative and then defending that alternative. So currently, there's a lot of focus on attacking the oppression, attacking the injustice. But one of the main principles of victory within military strategy is that the defense is always stronger than the attack. So imagine that you're attacking the dictatorship, he only has to defend against you, therefore has an inherent advantage against your attack. But if we as revolutionaries, we build that alternative, we build an alternative situation, how we want to have unity and diversity, how we want to have equality, self-reliance for the people, then we only have to defend it against the attacks of the oppressor, of the dictatorship, and we have that inherent advantage. So we want to gain that aspect of momentum by being very active, but we also want to take the initiative of the defensive to us instead of leaving it with the dictator. So when we focus not only on fighting what's wrong, but we especially focus our energy on where we want to go, we only have to defend it, and therefore we will be more powerful against the dictatorship. And finally, I found that even though people start to embrace nonviolence, it has become pragmatic nonviolence. They call it once more on the superficial level. So we are nonviolent, but it's not yet deep enough. Why do we love people like Gandhi, like Martin Luther King, like Nelson Mandela, the other historical leaders that became famous for nonviolence? Because they internalized it as deeply as possible. And I believe we need to do the same again. We need to make it a way of life. And when we do it, so it's about the message. The more powerful the message is going to be, the more it resonates with the many millions, the 90% of the population. That's how we're going to mobilize them. If we use anger and frustration and bitterness in our message, we're going to maybe mobilize some at the flanks to fight with us, but not the majority, not the whole population. Well, we want to mobilize the 90% always. So we always have to think, what is the truth for as much people as possible? Because if we do this, and then we have a powerful message, we will be able to at least have their interest and ideally convert them to our side and fight with us just by stopping giving their support to the unjust situation. So I think those 3 key insights from revolution, they might already be powerful takeaways for any revolutionary to implement.
It's powerful. Really, really powerful. So I want to summarize just there. So I've got 2. I remember 2. The position that you want to be at is a defense. Defend is better than attack. That's the best place because you can withstand an attack, especially if your defense is strong. The next one I got was non-violence. Non-violence is love. You go with love. Love's going to do it so much better. You'll last longer with love. And what was the first one, Erik, again?
The first one is to always focus on the defection or the conversion of the armed forces. So those with the weapons, they are actually your main focus. In the debate, they call the pillars of support. So you have the regime, and they're dependent on the pillars, the media, the education system, the business community.
Yeah, that's on your thing, innit? I've got loads written down, but I was going with flow. You've got the 5 segments. How to gain victory of the revolution. So it's like you've got an image of a temple and the pillars that are structured in place that they've got control of. But if you can influence those pillars, boom, innit?
Indeed, because those pillars are humans. So, for example, you were both soldiers. If in the units, like if you were given an order to shoot at the people, but you were friends with the people, maybe you had a nice chat with them, or from other reasons, you had sympathy for them. If they then did a very simple action that they melted your hearts, they played on your psychology, and you felt like, fuck the commander, I feel I'm part of the people, and you disobey, that is the moment the revolution has been completed. Because those with the violence, if they stop using that violence, that's when a revolution is won by the people.
I love that. I did a song about that, to be fair. I found myself in a catch-22. I said, what the fuck happens when the people have had enough and they start to fight, and then I get the order to, fight the people that I'm supposed to be defending? That was the song anyway. You know what I'm saying? You get into the minds, you're right, get into the minds, and I promise you, soldiers think different. I wanted to also talk about you got this other image on your website, and this is all in the tactics section, guys, just so when you go to this website and you read up on Erik and everything he's been doing, right, you can go to there's like different segments, right? They're great. The tactics one, and the victory one, yeah? There's it's almost like a gauge, in like a pressure gauge, and you've got like the 5 segments, and on the left there is the activists, the leaders, and then you've got the supporters, and then you've got, can you go into a little bit on that, Erik? Because I'm trying to remember it, but then you've got right at the far end, and then the opposition, and all you got to do is make all of those segments move one place to the left, and you've won. If people can see what I'm talking about, they'd get it. I'm sorry, man.
No, absolutely. And this is also because of the middle part. So we have a small group that is fighting for justice. We have a small group that's opposing them. They're both supported by also a minority, but the middle group, the neutrals, most people are caring about their own families, taking care of their families, providing for their well-being, trying to have a good life. So that big percentage of neutrals, of 60 or 50% of the population, if you switch them to just become supporters of the movement, just by resonating with your voice, because they were not against you, they were neutral, so they were already quite open for any message. If you have a very powerful message, that is why we see Gandhi or Martin Luther King be so effective in drawing the respect of the majority. When you do this, you also neutralize the opponents, and therefore you have activated all the groups that support you. You have neutralized the opponents, and the neutrals are a big fan of your mission. So suddenly you have changed the whole society just by one switch in the segment.
Exactly. Erik, you've got it, man. You've got it. People should be coming to, I can feel that as soon as people start to acknowledge what it is, you've got the knowledge, you've got the experience, and you've got the wisdom now, you're going to be on demand, mate. People are going to want to, they're going to say, get him in. If I had to run a revolution, if who knows, I might. I'm listening to you now thinking, bloody hell, he's giving me all the knowledge. He's telling me what I need to know. You know what I mean? He's telling me what I've got to do. He's teaching me everything I've got to put in place, how to go about it. And you took, time frames, you've got it all there. And I'm like, hang on a minute, could I do this? Could I actually do this? But the thing is, it's like, I feel like I've got to allow you to be you, because you could lead, you could do it, you can lead from the front, right? But then if anything happened to you, we don't have another strategist to replace you. This ain't the only fight. Do you get what I mean? We need to keep you very, very protected, because you could be the strategist for all of the revolutions that are happening scattered around, but we're all fighting for the same cause. We're all trying to take down, if you will, the same opposition, because that we know who that opponent is. So we got to protect you, because, yeah, you're the only strategist that knows what you know. Do you know what I'm saying? But mate, yeah, you're going to be on demand, man. I can feel it, man.
This year is going to be an interesting year. So past years I've been learning. This year I've been now for six months. I'm a full-time strategist and working with the two revolutionary leaders. But the next phase, the next 12 months, it means that I will be in the field with the revolutionaries, because now I know what I'm sharing, what I'm saying is all about words. But I have this deep urge that now it's time for action, to truly show I know what needs to be done, but it's just completely different from actually achieving this revolution and actually replacing a dictatorship in a way that it's sustainable. We have seen many revolutions where there was chaos afterwards, or there was anarchy or a stagnation. So to truly show, I think that's going to be the most powerful of all. If even with one revolution, I can show anything I know, being fully immersed in a revolution, I agree it might be a bit dangerous. So I don't know yet how to preserve the strategy skills. I will find a way. But I believe also just being immersed within such a revolution, showing that actually that love is all about that sacrifice, just overcoming that fear. And even though it might be a short flame, that it's going to be a powerful flame. Even when I will succeed with one revolution, it can become a model for more revolutions.
I love that.
Yeah. You make people like myself think, and I'm looking in the reflection, I'm looking at the mirror, like I'm having this conversation with myself in my head, Erik. You're such an inspiration and such a motivational speaker. You don't even realize you're doing it, and you're doing it your way. You know, you're just being you. And it's impactful, my brother. I promise you, it's so impactful. Like, I know I can do something. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm supposed to do something. Everyone's telling me, and I can feel it, I can think it, I can feel it, and it's like, but what, how? And I know it's all the how and all the why, but I don't believe you've come into my life for no reason. I don't believe that you've done all this work for nothing. I believe that you will ignite the fire in many of us to do what and guide us toward the place we're getting closer to. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And I want to say I'm honored, my brother.
Thank you.
This is the first episode. Me, Liv and Michael, we were really quite quiet, didn't we, guys?
But it's good to listen and be educated, and also inspired and empowered, because that's what we need more of, instead of feeling dependent and divided and deceived.
Yeah. I feel like the first step is to free the minds. We've got to step the minds free. What you said at the start, Erik, and I know a lot of people, you're going to have to watch this back, because so much was said, and it's got to be watched. Yeah, I mean, this is what I think about. Yeah. And I'm actually also, I feel like I'm going to just make a version of what he's done, the whole thing, but then also take the quotes that you said, Erik, so you've got them all. Do you get what I mean? Because there was so much power in what you said. One of the first things to remember was the power thing. Life force is the power. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And hope.
Yeah, I'm into that.
We're equal. Like, we've all been given the life force. No one's life force is greater than someone else's. It's all the same power. But it's this: if you believe someone's more powerful than you, if you've given them that, do you get what I mean? If you've given them that position, if you've given them that, I've always said this. Shoot him. Like, no, not like that, but like, if someone is the dictator, if someone is at the top and like they are, for example, Hitler, shoot him. Just flipping kill him. kill the kingpin, discard of that one thing, and it doesn't have all of this mass effect. Why is no one doing that? Why? What control? Because it's the mind. That one thing has control of the minds of masses. So afraid, so fearful. That guy shits the same, bleeds the same. The equality of power, like you said, life force, and I know where it'll be extreme there. Can't even know where that come from, be extreme. But yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, we don't need to shoot him. We just need to have the mind strength to know that he is not the power that he thinks he is, that Hitler character or any other character like that. You get what I'm saying? And if there is a group of them, I don't know, 10, 20, there's billions of us. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's important to remember that our minds are our own. And I think we forget that in society because of all of the conditioning and the indoctrination. But our minds are powerful. And if they can't break our minds, they can take away whatever they want to try and take away from us. But if they can't take the freedom of our mind and our spirit, then we still will always have our power. Always. They could strip away whatever they want to strip away. But if they don't get my mind, they don't get my heart, they don't take away my spirit, then I am free.
Yeah, we're getting closer, Liz, because hence why Erik's here. Can't be here if we weren't ready to receive him. Do you get what I mean? I love that. That soul, mind, body, yeah. The captain, the crew, and the ship. That resonated with me a lot.
Also that soul side. So for now, we're having this inspirational debate, the dialogue, and sometimes I already feel a small surge of like the heart of some emotion going to the voice. But still, I believe at the moment it's mainly the head that's speaking. But then this deception, people being fearful, or these limiting beliefs, I believe the moments that somebody feels very emotional inside their heart, so the soul is speaking, the soul is vibrating, and then suddenly that person speaks or shouts or cries, and that energy goes from the heart to their that's so powerful, because our souls are like this vibrations or frequency, that just that frequency from the heart to the voice, I think that has the power to awaken or to liberate people in their mental state by the millions, maybe even billions. So therefore we see sometimes a speech can be so powerful. I want to train this myself as well, how I can, when I speak, just get so emotional and then try to speak. I think it can blow away limiting beliefs just by this power of the emotion. As Gandhi was saying, that the most powerful force in the universe is human emotion. So the more we can utilize it and first feel emotional inside, then speak, that it comes outside, I think it's going to be very, very powerful. Imagine we can master this. Everybody that wants to awake the people, we master how to do this, it can go very fast.
Yeah, man. There's never a wrong way to say the right thing, Erik. You're nailing it, bro. As long as your heart's in the right place, and we can clearly tell it is. Hence why we were also captivated by you. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter if you came on here saying things like, decibel higher or decibel lower, or, oct louder or quieter, because it resonates on the frequency of the heart. You get what I'm saying? You're absolutely right. And we get you, my brother. We totally get you. Yo.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've got to say, it's been an amazing episode. So much comments on the TikTok. I haven't even been looking at it. I know, Michael, you've been on top of it. I appreciate that. Viewers, we obviously love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And obviously, I just want to say thank you to Erik. You know what I mean? Erik and the Zanden, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what I'm saying? I told you this name is strong, fam. Oh.
It's also one of the only ones that I was tempted to play like audience clapping.
Erik,
thank you for thank you for hosting on this amazing podcast and just talking about truth, revolution, power. Very powerful.
Erik, I promise you now, we're practice hours for you, my friend. We are practice hours. You are going to be speaking a lot more than you know. and I'm glad that you've done it. I'm glad that, get comfortable with it, and I promise you now, you know so much. I promise you now, yeah, you have nothing to fear in regards to what you have to say. I can rest you at that. I promise you, everything you know what to say. You got it. Do not fear.
I mean, at the start of this one, I was quite skeptical whether I was going to enjoy it or not. And then we're an hour and 15 minutes in now. And again, like I said, yes, I've dropped Medusa stuff, but I haven't made the whole time. And I'm just sat here listening and just getting it.
Yeah.
I've never had that before. I've got pretty much the whole thing.
Absolutely amazing.
And at peace, because it's not every day that you meet a revolutionary that you feel is on your level, so it's been good for me to meet you and be in your presence, so thank you.
And I feel geared up. I feel flipping ready. I'm like, yo, I do. I know it sounds nuts. I'm like, yo, I got it. I know what I need to do. I got the blueprint.
Jules.
I feel rallied. I feel like, okay, give me a fight. Like, what's the fight? Like, who do I? I say, it's nuts. It's nuts. I just get excited, and I feel the power of more. Are you not supposed to go alone? Don't go alone. And anyway, go together. Do you get what I mean? Again, I referenced it, and I'll say it again. I would like one day the Ekioto. When I read that on your website, I saw it. I was like, that's flipping amazing. I love that. Ekioto. Campfire. Let's talk. Let's have a chat. Which we are doing, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Next month, just so you know, ETC After Dark will be happening. Me, Liz, and Michael have had a chat, and that means that we will be opening up the private sector of these episodes with special guests, where we can talk about things that we want to be talking about in a little bit more detail that we know we can't on certain platforms because we're censored. But that's why ETC After Dark is there, and that will be our Ekioto to begin with. So look forward to that. All right, Erik, thank you so much for your time. Liz, Michael, is there anything more you want to say to Erik before we say goodbye?
I just want to say keep going, and thank you for doing what you're doing, because it's very much needed. Power to the people.
Indeed, power to the people. Thank you.
Erik, you're very welcome. I was going to say, can we... Oh, go on, Michael, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, if you look back at the episodes, one, again, would have opened, but I've never ever used this word before. I don't think that was very powerful.
Thank you so much.
I don't think I've ever said that before, and thank you for coming on.
I was going to say, Erik, when we say in a year or whenever we feel called to, we would love to have you back. I'm already saying that the door's there. It's there. You knock, we'll open it. Do you know what I'm saying? If you feel like you want to get a new message across, or you feel like something needs to be heard, and you feel like we're your guys, trust. And then, I just wanted to let you know that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I
will be on his podcast next time.
He'll invite us. Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, my friend, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing that future. I look forward to it. I'm rallied up. I'm good to go. You've got supporters here. Yeah, remember that. I hope this stays with you. I hope every single segment of your journey, you're keeping little trinkets to remind you, because I know it must get tough. I know it must get hard. It must get difficult sometimes when you feel, that what I don't know. Like you might lose sight. The voice might quieten down, and you know what I'm saying. But I need you to keep those trinkets and memories, bro, because you're on your way. It's already happened. It's already destined. This is a memory that you're reliving and remembering. You've done this. Do you get what I mean? And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. We will see you. We will see.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right. Also, the final thing that I realized, that the true essence of enlightenment, when you are become prone or totally protected against any external influence, that you're fully reliant on your own internal power, that's the moment that you're unbeatable, that you are just that's when the soul has taken over completely.
Love that.
That was a great final word.
Yeah,
man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. You know who we are, the Elite Thinking Club. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. You know what to do. You know how to do it. All the links for Erik are in the description. You've got to check it out. You go to that website, read his book, powerful stuff. Obviously, the man's hosting workshops as well. So if you wanted to go further into that, do that. You know what I mean? He's there. Be inspired. Be inspired. It's powerful stuff. So, yeah. Okay, so from me, Liz, Michael, and Erik, you know what I mean? Everyone everywhere. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Light up the darkness. See you.
Light up. Yep.